Welcome to Narbonne on match day 2 of the World Rugby Under-20s Championships. We're at the Parc des Sports et de l'Amitié in the same airspace as the Pyrenees for this Pool C encounter between Ireland and South Africa. And to carry on realistic hopes of making the semi-finals, neither side can afford to slip up here in Narbonne. South Africa, well, they came through their first game against Georgia without ever really hitting their straps, whilst Ireland, they went down to the hosts France by 2 points. They simply must win here or have to readjust their ambitions. So to catch up across the tournament, this is how Pool A looks. Australia having beaten Japan convincingly in the end, a very spirited Japan side scoring 3 tries against them earlier this afternoon. And in Pool B, the big news from across the stadia here, Argentina beating Scotland. England still topping that pool. Bonus point for Argentina. And in Pool C, France beat Georgia early this afternoon as well, 24-12. But it means that if South Africa win here with a bonus point, they will top the group. Well, these two sides, South Africa and Ireland, they've met 3 times before in the Under-20s Championship. South Africa have won 2 of them. Ireland just the one in 2012. They upset the host South Africa that time in the first game of the tournament. South Africa went on to win it. Well, I'm joined here in the gantry in Narbonne by Tom May, former England international. And Tom, what are your thoughts ahead of this one?
Well, it's another big 80 minutes needed from both these sides. Ireland would have been incredibly disappointed not to convert the 17-6 lead they had at half-time in Perpignan against France. And they'll have to fight hard against a very, very physical and aggressive South African side. Look out for Muller du Plessis, the sevens flyer on the wing for the junior Springboks. The Irish, well, they'll look to rely on the experience of Connor Dean and Jonathan Stewart, a halfback, to try and get the much-needed win thereafter.
Well, this is how the teams look for South Africa. 4 changes to the starting 15 to the side which beat Georgia. Lyle Hendricks is in at 12. Muller du Plessis is on the left wing. Ben Jason Dixon in on the blind side. And Asanathi Untlabakanye comes into the front row. Ireland also making changes, mostly to their backline. James Hume comes in at inside centre. Sean O'Brien is in for the injured Dan Hurley. Connor Dean and Johnny Stewart, the 2 most eye-catching changes, 9 and 10. It's a new half-back combination for this one for the Irish. Both sides enter the stadium here in Narbonne. South Africa wearing their traditional green, and Irish wearing their untraditional shade of grey. Well, both sides led out by their captains, of course. And they really are a formidable duo. Caelan Doris for Ireland, where it carries the armband. And for South Africa, Salman Murat is their leader. Well, Tom, this one really is set to be quite a match-up. South Africa having that ambition to go top of the group, and Ireland having to win to keep their hopes alive here.
Yeah, I think the key is going to be the set-piece battle up front. You could say that about many games, but Ireland, well, they've got a real focus on that area. And against any South African side, if you aren't physically ready for the game, then they will find a way to get on top of you and convert that pressure into a win. It's going to be a tough afternoon for both of these sides. I'm looking forward to this one.
Well, a pause for both sides and the anthems.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand up for the national
Well, to keep your eye on certain players in the South African camp, number 13, Vandiseli Similane, scored a try against Georgia 4 days ago. Has great feet and hands as well. He'll be paired with Lyle Hendricks in the midfield after an injury to Rickus Pretorius, who suffered an ankle twist against the Georgians. And Ireland, we've heard about the luck of the Irish. Well, how about the unluck of the Irish? In terms of injuries, that's been the situation around their under-20s campaign. Plenty of pre-tournament injuries. Like number 8, Jack O'Sullivan tore his ACL. And also during the competition, Dan Hurley 4 days ago and James French as well, both unavailable. Our referee today, Damon Murphy from Australia. Elite level player himself, having represented Australia at sevens from the mid-noughties around to about 2010. And it will be South Africa to kick us off, and one of their standout players, Damian Willemse. Willemse gets us underway, and they go deep into Ireland's 22. Taken in by Michael Sylvester. Sylvester turning 20 tomorrow. I'm sure he would love to be celebrating a victory over South Africa on his 20th birthday.
Seven, you must be down.
Johnny Stewart's kick is charged down. The first chance for South Africa, and they take it. It's their number 9, Zach Berger. Quickest try in the tournament so far, 30 seconds on the clock, Tom.
Brilliant pressure from Zach Berger. Great intelligent play by South Africa as well. 9 times out of 10, you'll see the sides kick towards the corner. They kicked down the middle and made Ireland work to an edge. And it was that extra work that they had to get through, which created the opportunity for Zach Berger to put pressure on his opposite number. That's what the early stages of these games are about. And there's no doubt there, Zach Berger has got one over Jonathan Stewart early doors.
Yeah, Johnny Stewart in for Hugh O'Sullivan after impressing off the bench against France, but the very worst start he could have hoped for. Willemse, who kicked us off, now lining up a conversion already. Willemse hammers it through. 7-0 go South Africa. Dream start for them.
Nightmare start for Ireland. Really difficult now for them to try and block that out and just get back to what they were planning on doing from the off. Really have to write that last 2 minutes off and say, right, the game starts now.
South Africa keep the ball in, and this is Sylvester who took that first kick-off, and now he's taking the ball over halfway, but South Africa unwilling to let him go to ground. And turning over possession. Excellent kick chase from the junior Springboks.
That's a physical nature that you'll see from the Springboks throughout this 80 minutes. You get caught in the wrong body position, they look to try and hold you up, turn you over. They've got the upper body strength for that. You look through this starting 15. There are some absolute beasts wandering around. Look at the size of Muller Ace at number 8. An absolute monster. You have to be so accurate as an Irishman in terms of your body position, getting to the ground, recycling that ball.
The ball at the feet now of Muller Ace. And South Africa muscling a penalty. Salman Murat, the captain, in the engine room, enjoying that one. First blood up front goes to South Africa.
First blood in every dimension of this game so far. Been really difficult start for the Irish.
Willemse's kick is long and good, and you felt like it might just drift into the in-goal area, but it slid out, and South Africa will have the throw-in inside Ireland's 22 once more. Dan Uesta with the throw, and Ben Jason Dixon towering in the line-out.
That's once.
Uesta with the ball under his arm. South Africans forwards enjoying their opening 5 minutes, keeping it all themselves. But Ireland turning it over.
A good bit of positive play there for the Irish. At least make them feel like they're having an active part in this game. Been really tough.
Here's your mark. It's fine, it's fine, it's fine.
That's one up for them. One on the board. Always going to be difficult against a side like South Africa, who come out of the block so quickly. physical game make you feel really under pressure. Irish just have to see this period of play out.
Jordan Duggan on the loose head for Ireland. Late replacement for James French in their last game, but had a very good game, particularly in that first half. And here is the new man, James Hume.
Okay, back, please, back.
Negative gain of yards there for Ireland. Stewart this time goes back to his number 10, Connor Dean. Dean finds a safe touch, and South Africa don't want to play safe at all. They want to chance their arm. They want to try and continue this good start.
Let's go, boys, set the line.
Another line out then for Uesta. The Western Province hooker. Nice one fired into midfield, and Muller Ace. The first of many carries this afternoon, you suspect, from South Africa's number 8. Met very well was Muller du Plessis by Sean O'Brien. Ireland showing that they've come tooled up in defence after that initial shock and the try by Berger, and they've managed to get the penalty too. Caelan Doris, Ireland's number 8, delighted with that.
There's good body positions by the Irish in that breakdown. Really low over the ball. And as a South African, the focus has to be getting underneath that body position to remove that player. And you've got someone doing the Barrow over the ball. Very difficult to move. It was actually Matthew Agnew as well, wasn't it? Fantastic double effort from the pair of them, earning their side a penalty and a good attacking opportunity.
Ireland's Dearman Barron goes for the short line out. Stewart, the recipient. Knock on in the process, agonising. For Ireland, it will be a South Africa scrum.
Too early. Yeah?
As Ireland packed down for this scrum. They are wearing black armbands today, and that is out of mark of respect to the young rugby players who passed away earlier this week in a swimming accident. Advantage to South Africa as the scrum is wheeled. They'll have the penalty from that. Damon Murphy in no doubt.
You can see what that means to that Springbok pack. Probably slightly disappointed, even though they beat Georgia, slightly disappointed with their performance. And certainly an area that they would look to try and really try and take the game to. Ireland will be in that set piece dominance, then translates into on-field pressure, and certainly South Africa having the opportunity to put that in place.
Cormac Daly, though, taking that out of the skies after South Africa erred. Salman Murat, South Africa's captain, trying to win the ball back, but Ireland look to work the blind side, and this is Daly again. In the side for Matthew Dalton is Cormac Daly. Stewart to Dean, and Doris knocks it on under heavy pressure from South Africa's defence. They'll have a scrum in centre field from there, but Ireland scrapping well, Tom, but a little bit of precision letting them down there.
Yeah, scrapping well. It was a good line by Doris, the captain. Just needs to be a bit more accurate. It's very easy to say that from up here. I wasn't about to get smashed by 2 South African defenders.
Well, Georgia did show in that first game how if you harry this South African side, if you really are on their case at every point, they will make mistakes. And Georgia really took it to them in the first half before South Africa showed their class in the second. For the Junior Springboks, 7-0 up after 10 minutes here in Narbonne. The kick through is from the try scorer Berger. Well, this is Sylvester who looks to avoid contact, and he finds Tommy O'Brien, Ireland's captain during the Six Nations.
There's a good kick from O'Brien. Put himself under a tiny bit of pressure, Michael Sylvester.
To the back here, Carl.
Just trying to run that
Here, mate.
out of trouble. Good offload, and then Tommy O'Brien, good awareness just to get the ball away upfield.
Uesta once again finding Murat, the captain.
Once.
Although the couple of Junior Springboks left by the wayside, they get back and reorganise.
Use it now, please. Leave it now.
Uesta, who fights for it to get to the floor, and Berger has to do something with it. He goes to the skies for the box. Doesn't go all that far, and claimed by Caelan Doris, the number 8 and captain for Ireland. Now chance for the Irish to show what they can do in an attacking capacity for the first time. O'Brien. Stewart has willing runners in the open field, and
Advantage. No.
Cormac Daly once again helping out his teammates, going through in the ruck, and the bust there coming from Joe Dunleavy, a try scorer
Rocket
against
formed.
France.
Hands.
And Ireland have the penalty. There is Dunleavy.
Rock formed. Hands.
Yeah, some good bits of play there from Ireland, really applying pressure to that South African defence, coming in numbers down similar channels, making defenders make decisions and earning themselves a good opportunity to get downfield with a good kick.
Ireland into South Africa's 22, deep into South Africa's 22.
Good boys.
And now a chance for Dearman Barron, their hooker, who was everywhere against France, to try and hit his men from the line out, and no doubt they will try and take on South Africa. Up front, it comes down, it's Dunleavy, sacked immediately, so Ireland playing with the advantage, and now Daly. Getting through a lot of work is Cormac Daly at the moment. So are his teammates, and they have their first chance really to bare their teeth and show the South African pack what they can do. Duggan picks and goes. Johnny Stewart sends it up to the backs. Connor Dean, bit of trickery. O'Brien it was who received the ball. And Ireland pick and go again. Penalty was coming. Johnny Stewart takes it quickly, looking to atone for his charge down kick, and well, Damon Murphy keen for Ireland to take it from the correct spot.
And unfortunate that. There was an opportunity there for the Irish. Quick thinking there by Jonathan Stewart. Equally confident in their driving game, gone to the corner. Good to see that from the Irish, because they've been under pressure for this opening 13 minutes. And even though it's 7-0, it'll feel really difficult for them right now. They've had 70% of the possession so far in this game, but certainly doesn't feel like that, does it?
Yeah, this their only foray into enemy territory. Barron with the line out, but it's stolen by South Africa. How well that was plucked out of the sky. South Africa's set piece in fine fettle in the opening 15 minutes here in Narbonne, and Willemse settling into his role at fly half. Very well indeed. That's gone almost up to the halfway line.
Well, you could hear his teammates as soon as it left his boot. He was being congratulated. That was a fantastic kick. He might have been shortchanged by 1 or 2 yards there, but he'll take it.
Timing right, please.
Damien Willemse been winning rave reviews this season, playing in Super Rugby for the Stormers. Made his debut last year in Super Rugby, and the star of this junior Springbok side, that's for sure, as is this man, Caelan Doris, but for Ireland. Now Dean goes out wide, but it's misplaced. O'Brien once again tidying up. Here's Similani, puts the kick through. Connor Dean chasing back. South Africa all over Ireland's number 10 at the moment. Replacing Harry Byrne, of course, is Connor Dean in this one. And he's done super work on the floor there. Kept his discipline, and Ireland have a penalty.
Yeah, Ireland have got themselves out of jail there a bit. Fairly inaccurate in the way they were trying to attack. Have to try and play a balanced and pragmatic game. Yes, it's all about these players expressing themselves, which is great to see. This tournament's been brilliant to watch so far. But from a natural rugby perspective, you need to play what's in front of you. You're under pressure, you need to get through some phases, get over the gain line. He did well there, Connor Dean.
Yeah, experienced head in this Irish side. This is 10th under-20s appearance in the green of Ireland, or in the charcoal grey of Ireland on this occasion. Diarmaid Barron is being harassed for the ball. He does manage to work it back. Really physical start this from the junior Springboks, asking so many questions of Ireland. Save for that opening score, Ireland are answering them, giving as good as they get. Stewart. High box kick. Gianni Lombard now out to Tyrone Green. This is Similani once more on the other side of the pitch and putting in a kick. Stewart once more, has to be lively. Similani took him down. Ireland from side to side in a defensive capacity here. South Africa, you sense, trying to crank the pressure, and they get the penalty. One side of the pitch, it didn't quite work, and this time it does. The boot of Similani and that vision from the outside centre, causing problems for Ireland.
Yeah, certainly Tyrone Green and Similani, they both had good games against Georgia and causing Ireland problems down this near touchline. It's a good, intelligent kick. By keeping the ball in field, you make Ireland play that ball. If that just dribbles into touch, it allows that Irish team to use the set piece to get themselves out of trouble.
Line out is fumbled by South Africa. Ireland have turned it over. Dan Uester's throw not hitting its mark. Just a yard from Ireland's line. The forwards try and fight for those extra few metres. South Africa bringing a great attitude to this game. In the opening quarter, asking Ireland to fight for everything, and it's actually that man Tyrone Green who epitomised that against Georgia, chasing lost causes. That's how he scored his charge down try, and it seems like they've taken that attitude and put it across 1 to 15, Tom.
Yeah, and I think you can always make a good, or bad kick, sorry, into a good kick by just working hard, getting the chase in place. Certainly we saw Japan do that throughout their 2 games. Perhaps might not have kicked the best at times, but the hard work that they put in the chase turned that into a good kick.
Barron to Dunleavy, but South Africa come through and steal it. Now Murat. Met hard, but makes yard still. Does South Africa's captain. This is Willemse. And now Similani, it was meant for Tyrone Green. Here's Willemse, dancing his way through. Damian Willemse, and still going is Willemse. Superb footwork from South Africa's number 10. Just finding the wrong man in the wrong shade of green shirt. Well, it's charcoal, but there are a few. You'd forgive him if he thought that was a South African shirt coming through. Ben Jason Dixon tidying up for South Africa, and now this is offloading to Lombard, and South Africa will be in here. It's the new man in the side, Muller du Plessis. The 18-year-old goes in for South Africa's second try.
Another good score for South Africa, but really, they're preying on the mistakes that Ireland make. A missed touch from James Hume just allowed South Africa to bring the ball back. Some great feet from Willemse. That was the kick, just missed there. And that offload from Labakali was brilliant. And certainly du Plessis will be very thankful. But Ireland, at the moment, causing themselves problems. They've had one charge down kick and a missed touch. And South Africa have made them pay.
Muller du Plessis made his South African Sevens debut in Las Vegas in March this year, and now on the score sheet here in the World Rugby Under-20s Championship. But that time the conversion not able to be added by Damien Willemse. Should have hooked that one, didn't he? Right across the goal. It doesn't stop the quality of this strike.
It all came from a brilliant offload. Always good seeing props give offloads, I like that.
Yeah, the offload given by Asananthi Untlabakanye. Lombard doing the rest after that, and onto du Plessis. Now here is Sylvester. Matthew Agnew. The step coming in, and Ireland continue the move. This is now O'Brien.
High tackle. Just keep him down for me, please.
So Ireland have the penalty. They'll come back for that, and it will be interesting to see what they go for from here. It has been a tough old start for them, and Tom going for the points there. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think they just need to get a foothold in the game, and any sort of score will give them that opportunity. As we just see, need to keep those tackles low. A real focus on getting the player to the ground. Well, the best way to get the player on the ground is to go around the legs. Big focus on that area of the game at the moment, and rightly so. And this will be a big focus for Connor Dean. If he can get this over, Ireland will feel a lot happier about life right now, because it's been tough so far.
Back into the swing of things, Connor Dean getting Ireland on the scoreboard. Shot from distance, and personally for him as well, started 4 out of 5 Ireland games in the 2017 Under-20s Championship. Had to sit on the bench in the last game against France, but now scoring points for Ireland once more. Damien Willemse will get us back underway. Stewart has to keep his eyes on it and puts his left boot through the ball.
We're pretty lucky up here in the gantry to have some stats in front of us, and I've just been having a look at these while there's the kick at goal, and actually it's 12-3 to South Africa, but if you look at the amount of tackles that South Africa had to make, 32 to Ireland's 9. Ireland have made 32 carries compared to 14 for South Africa, made more meters, they've got over the gain line more.
Scrum.
They're in the game at the moment. Those errors, those 2 errors, have cost Ireland and cost them dearly.
Crouch! Bind! Sit!
Stewart feeds, and it's a solid scrum from the Irish. Doris brings the ball open. Goes around the back to O'Brien and now to Dean. Sylvester coming into the line from fullback. Dunleavy has to play first receiver with Dean detained by the ruck.
Backwards.
South Africa coming through strong though, and Dean tidying up. Ireland hardly getting any ball in the manner in which they will wish, but Diarmuid Barron makes a few inroads on this left wing. Muller-Race leading the defensive effort for South Africa, and Ireland have to put boot to ball. Mark is called for. Gianni Lombard at the back for South Africa, pumps it forward. Dean. Sylvester. Now this is Tom Roach, who thought he was in for a score against France, but was called back for a high shot that Jack Angier had put in on the French number 10. Stewart and Doris driving hard, but losing the ball. South Africa turning it over. Opportunity to run against a disorganised defensive Willemse. Ball is charged down, straight back to Willemse, who looked to make the most of it. Green was lurking. And it will go out for a throw. Well, Ireland under so much pressure, Tom.
Time off, time off.
But the game breaking up a little bit.
Interesting to see what the referee says here.
Okay, so you're telling me the grey, black deliberately knocked the ball on? Yeah?
Yeah.
Penalty here for doing. Okay.
There's no one there.
What's that?
There's no one there to defend, remember?
Vincent, is there any chance of an overlap? Any chance of an overlap?
No.
Sure?
Yes, it's fine.
We'll check, hey? Just let me check there. Gappy, you got me there, please? Sorry. Mate, TMO, can you just check this? Step back for a second.
Yeah, you just want to check, I'll give you the wide shot
Yeah, just give me the right shot,
as
please.
well.
Overlap for South Africa.
First shot's coming now, mate.
Yeah. So, Gappy, just tell you what I'm saying. I'm saying...
Well, our TMO is Shane McDermott. Let's see what he makes of this.
Yeah, mate, go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm just saying, a little bit knocked down, PK only. I've got this fair amount of cover there, and we're nice and tight in the 5 metre channel.
Yeah, I agree.
Correct? Too easy?
Yeah.
All right, time back on. A little bit knocked down.
I think it's a pretty good decision there from Damon Murphy. He's right. It may well have been a deliberate knockdown, but there was a huge amount of cover coming across for the Irish. But that said, now, I'm not a betting man, but I would have bet you a baguette with ham in it that he wouldn't have missed that touch.
Not the customary type of kick we're used to seeing from Damien Willemse as South Africa make a change. It's Skolky Erasmus who's come on for Dan Uesta at hooker, and he's straight into the action here. Irish ball.
Crouch! Bind! Set!
Stewart has a stable platform to work off. That's a good sign for the Irish in this first half. Sylvester spinning out of a couple of tackles, but Willemse gets him, brings him to the floor. So Dunleavy has to start again and makes a few good yards, does the Irish blindside. O'Brien, such a wily outside centre, and has the penalty to show for that.
It was a good read from Muller du Plessis to shut down that attack. Really stepped in brilliantly to shut down the space. I think it was Sylvester that was getting the ball for Ireland. And there's a decision-making defender. You have to get that right. If you make the wrong one, you get really exposed when you step in.
HIA or
Proceeded
blood?
brilliantly there.
Just blood? Okay. Just blood, boys.
Oh, look at those missed tackles.
Yeah, sweet. Thanks, Gappy.
Creeping up for South Africa. Ireland with only 4.
Yeah, sorry, mate.
2 or 3 high
Hardly had
tackles
to
there.
make a tackle.
Yeah, okay. No worries. Yeah, I'm happy to have a look
Only
for it,
made
mate.
9.
I've only seen one, but I'll keep an eye for you. No dramas.
Well, here is the incident.
Got a
Not
sub
entirely
coming
clear from where the
Yeah.
considerable knock to the head must have come from.
Good to see him running away. Bit of a bump to the head, he'll be fine.
So coming on to the
Sub
park will be PJ Steenkamp.
That's the gear here.
It's Ruan Norkia, who is off for a blood injury.
Time back on.
And Dean's penalty. Straight to touch, and Ireland march forward a little bit more. Confirmation of Steenkamp coming on from Nortia.
Halfback. Up, please, if you're the halfback. Who's halfback?
Barron with the line-out. Dunleavy rising highest. Here is Doris getting through a lot of work, and he meets his fellow captain, Murat. Considerable collision from the 2 captains there. Doris coming out on the right side of it. Sylvester switching with O'Brien. Ball pops out, and Ireland do well to retain it. Stewart and Dunleavy again. Getting through so much work on the blind side for Ireland. This is Dean, and Ireland starting to fizz a little bit more now. Stewart. O'Brien. Pumping the legs, only a slender figure, but packs power in the way he plays the game. Doris gets the ball onto Tom Roach. Barron. Now round the back, Ireland in the mood here. Dunn is the man who carried it forward. Ireland sensing the try line, multiple phases, and Barron it is again. Dean goes out wide, it's into the hands of O'Brien, but not quite. The missed pass going to the floor, and Sean O'Brien just unable to gather it into his grasp.
Really disappointing for the Irish there, a good period of play. Loved the way they were changing their angles. When they were getting to the width, they had great awareness of where they were on the field, trying to get in away from those touch lines. Certainly O'Brien and Roach down that far touchline from our gantry position, doing very well to stay in field. And it was Tyrone Green, wasn't it? He just put a tiny bit of doubt in Sylvester's mind. And that bounce ball, well, it just caught out. Sean O'Brien, how many times do we see the bounce ball pay dividends for the attacking team this time? It was South Africa who come up trumps.
Well, Joe Dunleavy's efforts require a bit of extra tape so far. Really has led the fight up front. Joe Dunleavy, along with Caelan Doris, who didn't appear in the Six Nations for Ireland due to a hamstring tear. He came back from that to make his senior debut for Leinster versus Connaught at the end of April. And he's certainly showing his quality out here in the south of France at the World Rugby Under-20s Championship.
Ireland getting through a huge amount of work. Made 54 carries and got over the gain line 24 times. That's a great percentage. Great return on getting over the gain line. Keep doing that, keep those numbers high. It'll become increasingly difficult for South Africa to keep them out.
Zach Berger with the ball in his hands scored that try right at the start of this game, charging Johnny Stewart's box kick down and touching down himself. And both sets of forwards really neutralising each other at the scrum time. No one able to gain the ascendancy. South Africa work it back. Dixon. Tyrone Green is in there, unsurprisingly, the right winger, always looking to be involved. But he leaves it to the big heavies up front for now. Willemse under pressure, making that kick and not getting the yards he would have liked.
Yeah, it was Jonathan Stewart returning the favour on the South Africans. He paid the price early on, didn't he? Certainly, Willemse, that's another kick he won't be happy with. And if Ireland can keep applying this pressure to South Africa, as you mentioned before, Georgia did it and it got to the South Africans. And there's no doubt in the preview work they would have noticed that.
Barron solid from the line out. Ireland look to set something up. They are 18 metres out or so at the moment. And they have the advantage as South Africa take it to the floor. So this is Duggan, who rides the tackle well, and solid clearing out from Ireland. Will come back for a penalty. And Johnny Stewart so eager to take those ones quickly in that sort of area.
Okay. First time just hang on a second. Yeah. So collapsing them all. That's now numerous penalties against you guys. I need you to have a chat to the boys. I need to change your behaviour down here for me, please. Otherwise, next one will end up in the bin. Sure. Thank you.
Can I have a minute?
Yeah. Yeah. Have a minute. Take your time.
The message is pretty clear there, isn't it? From Damon Murphy to Salman Murat. Make sure you don't give any more penalties away. Now, from an Irish perspective, flip that on its head. Keep battering on the door. That'll be the case. That'll be the mindset you would have as a player. If they're under pressure, then try and force them into making a penalty or giving away another penalty. And you'll have a period of time with a side with 14 men against you. Let me see those stats I was talking about before. The meters made.
Thank you. Time on.
Has to pay off at some point for the Irish, should they keep playing in this way.
Dunleavy it is who's the target man. Ireland with that bulk of possession, but still looking for a first try. Just the points from Dean so far to show for their efforts. 5 metres out. Stewart having a conversation with Damon Murphy, and Murphy agreeing that Ireland should have the ball.
So the ball was over, and Ireland was still going forward. Therefore won the ball. Look at those possession numbers. 71% possession for the Irish. Can't believe it's 12-3 to South Africa.
And Tom, how do you think head coach for Ireland, Noel McNamara, will be taking that as a good sign that they've got possession or not converting?
No, I think just keep building the pressure. Okay, it's 2 errors that have cost Ireland. You take those 2 errors away, and this is always going to be a tight fixture. It's been the one that people have been looking at in match day 2. It was a fantastic game, and certainly no inch being given by either one of these sides.
Height issue.
Ultimately, it's a charge down kick.
Thank you.
And a missed touch that's cost Ireland.
Mark, sir. Sorry, mate. My fault,
Shot
sorry.
there of the Irish engine room, which is getting through so much work. Cormac Daly and Jack Dunn. So to the front rows, of course. Barron at hooker. Good around the park, but really leading the efforts up front too. Doris has it at his feet and picks and goes. Does Caelan Doris, looks for the line, does Ireland's number 8, and he gets there. Ireland get their first try by their skipper, Caelan Doris.
Great pickup, great strength, great leadership from Caelan Doris. Exactly what Ireland needed. We've talked about the stats, and now it's starting to pay off. It's exactly what you want from your leader. Number 8 picking up, getting straight into a winger. Imagine his eyes just lighting up. Looks up, sees Tyrone Green. Well, that's every back rower's dream, isn't it? Give me a winger to run at any day.
Didn't even need to put his head down and drive hard, just the momentum took him over. Connor Dean lining this one up. And that is a quite superb kick from Connor Dean, bringing Ireland to within 2 points of South Africa. 12-10, the junior Springboks lead, but Ireland right back in this one now, converting that territory and possession into points.
South Africa 12, Ireland 10, South Africa 12, Irlande 10.
We talked about Connor Dean and how much experience he's got. Compare the two 10s. It's Williamson that looks like he's under pressure at the moment.
Ireland with a much better exit, and well, save for that blemish at the start of the half, Tom, Ireland have come back into it really well and showed their quality.
Well, they were rocking earlier on, weren't they? Really struggling in those early minutes. You look at South Africa's stats, well, they've lost 3 on their own throat. Well, we've seen what's happened there. Been a substitute at hooker. East has gone and Erasmus is on.
Ball taken down by Jack Dunn. Stewart and Dean. Doris now once more looks for the offload. Dean checking, finding O'Brien. And O'Brien not going for the 50-50 offload, and back to Stewart. Sylvester plays scrum half. The chip goes through, and well, Ireland's number 10 was levelled there. But they had the penalty coming, and Damon Murphy will call us back to that spot.
And he can't tackle the half-back, and that was the reason for the penalty being given by Damon Murphy. It is tempting, mind, when you see a scrum half get his hands on the ball. And those penalties, they're creeping up for South Africa. Those coaches will be looking to get in single figures for the whole game. Well, South Africa have given 8 away already.
Stewart taken to ground there, and that's what brought the original penalty. This the knock to the floor of Connor Dean. Well, Ireland going for the line out, and not all a surprise, Tom, that it's been so successful for them. Paul O'Connell, no less, is part of the under-20 setup here in France, and with all his experience and line-out expertise, it's unsurprising to see the Irish going for this tactic and doing it so well as well. Salman Murat, South Africa's captain. Ireland take it cleanly. Setting up the maul, it's Barron who has it at the back. Stewart happy to let his forwards have it for now, and the rumble continues up to South Africa's 22. Still keeping their shape, still looking for more yards. Now Duggan. Taken straight to the floor, but Ireland continues. Stewart and Dean, and now O'Brien.
There's numbers down this near side now for Ireland.
Dunleavy, Dean, and now Jack Dunn. Ireland starting to play that all-court game. Stewart sees a half gap, but it's immediately closed. Now the scrum half is back on his feet, and this inside ball till Sylvester comes from Dean. Ireland really building. O'Brien now, the outside centre. South Africa look to pinch the ball. It's the penalty that will come from it.
And this is exactly what we mentioned earlier on. They've been put under so much pressure.
On your hands, you've called your way. That's simply too many penalties. It's a yellow card.
That's the 9th penalty that South Africa have conceded. And it was made clear, wasn't it, to Salman Murat earlier on. Any more penalties in this area of the field and it'll be resulting in a yellow card. And Ireland have gone quickly.
Ireland going quickly into the corner. And it's Tom Roach who's touched it down. Well, Connor Dean tapping and going. And this, the lofted pass, and Roach just has one man to beat.
So try, no try. And
We will have
grounding.
Damon Murphy have a look at this
Okay, mate.
via Shane McDermott in the TMO's truck.
I thought they'd gone for points for movement. Can't quite see the angle from our position, can we, in the gantry? Ooh. I think he might have just got away with that one. And regained control on the way down. Or not. That's a shame for the Irish.
He was position, yeah.
Great to see how aware Connor Dean was, though.
Yeah.
Could see the space.
The black player has lost position of the ball.
Yep.
Lost forward.
Yep.
Scrum green.
Scrum green.
Yep.
And is that time right? 8 seconds to go?
No, we've got 8 seconds to go, so we play the
Too
scrum.
easy. All right, boys, no try, knock on, scrum green.
So a reprieve for South Africa just as the first half
Mate, well, it's really back.
ticks to a conclusion.
Yeah, sorry, mate.
But time
Yeah,
for
sorry,
one
sorry.
more act.
That's good refereeing from you.
Tom Roach will be thinking about that one throughout half-time, won't he?
8 seconds.
I'd be happy, though, the Irish. Really starting to get a grip of this game. Dominating South Africa in so many areas.
Crouch! Bind! Set!
Zach Berger. And how this half started so well for South Africa, it's ended with them just hanging on.
Tough.
Damon Murphy takes a moment but calls a halt to proceedings with the scores at 12-10 to South Africa. They started doing all the running. Zach Berger with a try before a minute was up. Muller du Plessis following up after that, but Ireland worked their way into this, and through Caelan Doris they got their try. It's now a 2-point game here in Narbonne. South Africa lead 12 points to 10. Welcome back to the second half here in Narbonne and the Parc des Sports et de l'Amitié. At the Oranges, it's 12-10 to South Africa against Ireland. South Africa doing the early running in this one, but Ireland pegging them back towards the end of the second half. And Tom, mate, we're up here in the gantry at Narbonne. Neither side is yet out on the field. Who will be happy with that first half, do you think?
Well, I think you have to say South Africa will be happier because they've hardly fired a shot and they're 12-10 in the lead. You look at all of the stats, it's all lending itself to, if you took the scorelines away, you'd think that South Africa would be winning this game. They're not. It's those two errors that we've talked about that have cost them. From a South African perspective, they have to stop Ireland getting over the gain line. Nearly 50% of the time that Ireland carry, they get over the gain line, which is not a good stat to be looking at. Really, South Africa want to be testing Ireland from an attacking perspective as well. Ireland have only had to make 12 tackles in 40 minutes. They'll feel pretty fresh, I would think, compared to those South Africans.
The Irish fans here would have enjoyed Ireland's resurgence in that first half, but as you say, Tom, the scoreline still with a 2-point buffer to South Africa. And it will be the Irish to get us back underway here. All-important game for both sides in the outcome of this pool. South Africa, they need to score 2 more tries and win the game, of course, but if they do top the group with a bonus point, they will be topping the group. So Conor Dean gets us back underway here in Narbonne. It took 30 seconds for South Africa to be on the score sheet. But this time it's Ireland who have possession. Although it breaks down immediately. Similani, perhaps South Africa could be in for one at the start of the second half. It's Tyrone Green who's chasing after it. Green, the right winger. Oh, he can't quite get there. Wow, well, Ireland letting South Africa in again at the start of the half.
There's something about Ireland in the opening seconds. Look at the pace of Tyrone Green. The determination to get to this ball is outstanding. Oh, he wasn't far away, was he? He worn the advertising hoardings for his determination. And Ireland really have to wake up in these early moments of the second half.
Time on. Make sure we're behind, please.
That was an amazing bit of play from Tyrone Green. It looked like he was actually just trying to hook the ball back into play to any chasers who were with him, but no one was able to keep up with him from his own side. So South Africa will start from deep, and they kick deep to Ireland. Stewart showing and going, and Salman Murat is over the ball there for South Africa. Ireland know they have to be wary of him. Jack Dunn marshalled him well. This is Doris, Ireland's captain and try scorer in the first half. Stewart to Dean, and that half-back pairing will be looking to kick on in this second period. Sylvester puts boot to ball, but Similani, it looked like it got to him.
Ireland just need to play in the right areas of the field. They should try and create an opportunity where they can kick downfield. Don't overplay in their own third.
Dean, and this is Doris cutting a lovely line over halfway. Goes Ireland's captain. The offload comes as well. This is Hume. South Africa scrambling back. Ireland kicking to life in this second half. Dean spots a gap himself. The fly half plays it back inside to Doris once more. 2 carries already in this set, Caelan Doris. It's carried on by Jack Ainger. And now his fellow front row colleague, Jordan Duggan. Ireland looking for their second try. The ball comes back on South Africa's side though, and South Africa can breathe themselves a little bit deeply. Willemse gets rid of it as quick as he can.
Well, the other option alternatively is to just run it out. What a great line from Caelan Doris. He's carried brilliantly. I love the way Ireland played so flat to the line. He's busy, isn't he? Contributes all around the field.
A psychology student at University College Dublin is Caelan Doris. A first-class rugby player as well. Muller ace. South Africa's number 8 doing his bit, but this is Doris once more on the rampage. Is Caelan Doris. He gets the offload. It's Sylvester who will go in under the sticks. Ireland come out at the second half, and they are firing.
Great try from Ireland, fully deserved. And again at the centre of it, Caelan Doris. Another fantastic carry, another line break. Look at this. Completely wrong footing. Willemse is defensively out of position. And then Sylvester following up fantastically. Just doing the simple things well once he'd made that line bust as well. Simple 2-on-1, get it polished off. Great start to the second half for Ireland.
Conversion after is good. It's a 7-pointer for Ireland. They take the lead for the first time in this match, courtesy of Michael Sylvester.
The reason why Caelan Doris is getting so many line breaks, Ireland are playing flat to the line, but he's running so straight, almost back onto the ball. He's wrong-footing that South African defence, and it's working for him.
South Africa 12, Ireland 17.
Willemse restarting for the junior Springboks. And Dean getting, or rather not getting so far with the kick. South Africa have the line out just 5 metres outside Ireland's 22. Overthrow and a Diarmuid Barron. Well, he had open field in front of him, but just knocking on in the contact there, Ireland's hooker.
It's an opportunity for South Africa now. They really do need to get themselves into this game from an attacking perspective. Really been allowed to put any periods of sustained pressure on Ireland.
Zach Berger with the ball in his hands. Muller ace, who goes to the left-hand side, and now Similani shows and goes himself. Nice set play move from South Africa off the base of the scrum. Ooh. Now Muller ace once more. Zach Berger to Willemse, to Untla Bakanye. Showed his deft hands in the first half for a try. Now the brute force. This is tapped on, and this is Dobela. Ireland marshalling South Africa well. They had to recover. Caught cold from that scrum, but the junior Springboks keep coming. Salman Murat, the number 4 and captain for South Africa, clearing the ball out now. Untla Bakanye once again. Keep coming round the corner, South Africa. Piling in, asking questions of Ireland, and that is Hendricks for the first time we see him. Now Dixon. South Africa looking to hit back immediately in this second half. Willemse has a bit of space, shows his footwork, but Cormac Daly it was who'd watched him well. Zach Berger, and it was knocked on in contact. Well, just for an instant. Those flashing feet of Damien Willemse. And well, he may well have been quite significantly injured in that exchange. That looked nasty.
Look at the player reactions to that turnover as well.
Just double checking.
South Africa just with their hands up in the air, so frustrated with the way things are going. Ireland, well, they're sort of beating their chests, aren't they?
Back 10.
Really pumped up about this.
We'll be back 10, yeah?
Okay,
You
thank
can't
you.
just stand no man's land.
Okay, thank you.
So whilst Damien Willemse lies on the floor, we won't be showing the injury
Yeah, knock on green, yeah, sweet.
due to its severity.
Yeah, yeah.
But our thoughts from up here in the gantry, certainly with Damien Willemse, that was a lovely moment as he sized up the defence before he had that exchange and got injured. So both sides now back in their respective huddles.
Stretcher.
If you look in these opening moments, what have we had, 7 minutes of this second half? Well, after 40 minutes, they'd had 12 tackles, the Irish, who shot up to 32. Tell how South Africa had to try and get themselves back into this game. It's a really important period of time for both teams, actually, mentally, from a mental perspective. South Africa are trying to get themselves back into it. Time for them to perhaps regroup, but Ireland, they want to keep the momentum going in the way they've been playing this game, and certainly when they've opened up this second 40 minutes. They don't want the momentum to disappear from their game.
So it will be Manny Rass to come on and replace Damien Willemse. Such misfortune for him as the medics are on and getting the stretcher out. South Africa and Ireland, through the years, they did have that amazing match back in 2012. Ireland scoring 2 tries from charge downs and beating them on South Africa's own patch when South Africa hosted the World Rugby Under-20s Championships. And amazingly, in that first game, it was South Africa that came through and won, so far, their only championship title. No titles in the Irish trophy cabinet just yet. They did make it to the final in 2016 against England. It was also the year they beat New Zealand in the pool stage.
Just seeing a repeat of this line break from Caelan Doris. He did well, actually, didn't he, Sylvester, to keep his balance. It's such a good line, though, from Doris. What are you taught as a young kid? Run straight, ball in 2 hands, simple 2-on-1s. 3 skills that you're taught as a really young player. Back to back there from Ireland's captain. It obviously works, doesn't it?
Yeah, Caelan Doris is certainly enjoying himself out there. And Doris, he had to sit on the sidelines during the Six Nations. Jack O'Sullivan was the number 8. And O'Sullivan really had a super tournament. 4 tries in 5 games for him, and Doris now taking his chance through O'Sullivan's misfortune with his injury.
Key stat for me there. That's 20 tackles missed for South Africa and just 4 for Ireland. That said, okay, they haven't had to make as many, but it's still a fairly high number for South Africa.
Well, for Damien Willemse, certainly is a very sad end to his season if it turns out to be the last game he can play. He's had a superb season playing for the Stormers. Made his debut for the Stormers against the Kings in Port Elizabeth in 2017. Some of his performances this year, particularly against the Blues at Newlands from number 10, quite fantastic, and never nice to see any player in such a position with all the medics around and being taken off.
Well, the medical facilities and the medical care that players get now, it's fantastic to see. Very rare that you get such bad injuries. But for any cases like this one, Damien Willemse will be very well looked after this afternoon.
Warm applause around the stadium here in Narbonne. Australian fans in from their side's game earlier on today. Irish and South African fans alike. Applauding Damien Willemse as he makes his way off. Well, the play continues on here. Ireland scrum.
Set!
South Africa still with one man in the sin bin, but poised to come back on. They will almost be up to 15 men again. Ball goes kicked through, and the most highest gain of yards by James Hume.
He made sure he made touch though, didn't he? No mistake of the first half error.
Yeah, the equivalent of kicking it into Rosette, that almost. So Skulk Erasmus, very mobile prop, and has to find his man here, and he does. Murat, the captain, bringing it down. Murat, from his schooling, was at the Pyle Boys High School, famous factory of rugby players that have come out of that school. Murat, another one of them. South Africa knocking the ball forward though in contact. Ireland hitting so hard on the game line. They have an opportunity to break from here, and it's Dean. Looks back inside, finds support from Jack Dunn, who he himself knocks on. And for a second there, it might have been South Africa on the counter, but we'll come back for the scrum.
Oh, frustrating from an Irish perspective. Turn that ball over. They had numbers down this near side. It's just being about... Oh, it's just a bit careless, isn't it? It's about being really accurate, keeping the ball, being patient as well, not trying to force any offloads. He wasn't there, but certainly once you've made one or two line breaks, so much harder for the defence to get back into any sort of organised system.
Crouch! Bind! Set!
Just the 5 points in it then at the 50-minute mark. Here, the pause in play after the injury to Damien Willemse. South Africa had a 2-point lead going into half-time, but that was erased by the try from Michael Sylvester at the start of the second half. And now the junior Springboks have a real scrap on their hands if they are to be able to top the group, which is within their sights, having won their first game against Georgia with a bonus point. But Ireland desperate for their first victory in this tournament as well. They lost by 2 points to France, played so well in that first half. They'll be doing everything to make sure it's them at the end of the day. Dobela chipping over, the substitute back, and he's play on has been granted. South Africa continuing. This is Similani. Does he have the legs to go in at the corner? Wandaseli Similani gets South Africa on equal terms here.
Brilliant awareness from Dobela to see the space in behind, made the chip, got absolutely nailed in chasing it. Recognition of space. Fair contest, and then good awareness. Get it to Similani. That's a good finish. Thought for one moment that Lubabalo Dobela was being slightly ponderous in his decision-making, but it paid off in the end for South Africa, and a much-needed score.
Was wearing number 5 before he comes back after grabbing and head injury commission.
So Gianni Lombard with Damien Willemse off. He carried the tee on South Africa's overseas tour to Scotland, Wales and England before this tournament. And he has the kicking duties now, and it's not an easy one to start with. And it does slide to the left-hand side of the post, so we are all tied up 17 points apiece after this try from Similani. The ball from Skoonies. Good enough for Similani to strike once more. His second try in this tournament. So Ireland now chasing the kickoff, and Murat, the captain, taking the ball in. Berger with the box kick. Sylvester is underneath this. Similani is chasing hard and clatters into Michael Sylvester. Penalty Ireland.
He did well there, Sylvester. Under a huge amount of pressure from Similani, rode the tackle, got forward 1 or 2 yards. When you buy yourself and your team 1 or 2 yards, translates into a huge amount of time. Extra second, maybe the extra second you need to be able to recycle that ball. Just shifted his body, didn't he, to create himself some space.
Let's go, boys, set the line.
So Dearman Barron with the line out. And it's a good one too. Ireland setting off into midfield now. Doris, unsurprisingly, taking it forward. So Ruan Norkier is back, the number 24. He has a new shirt on his back, started the match with number 5. Ireland's Aaron Hall is on as well, on the flank. He's replacing Joe Dunleavy, who's really gone through everything for Ireland, everything he's been asked to do today. And the turn of Aaron Hall, who had a good cameo appearance against France. Sylvester, now Hume, sizing up his options. Seen a few moments from Hume that have been really good. That pass over the top for Tom Roach, which was a try that never was. Sylvester keeping things going. The forward pass, well, it's perhaps not the man you had wanted to be making that basketball pass.
I like the fact he tried it, though.
Scrum, green ball.
See that a lot in these under-20 championships. Players willing to try things. It's good to see.
I definitely agree. Jack Ainger going for it, and next time it'll work out.
Not quite coming off.
Just watch those timings on the tackling half.
Yeah, sorry.
So Damon Murphy just asking Matthew Aisley for a little bit of better timing.
Yeah. It's a pretty big cut, so I can understand why it's bleeding again. It's a pretty big cut.
Okay, if we just do this.
So they balance things up here, Tom. South Africa getting 48% possession. Stats were massively skewed in the favour of Ireland in the first half, weren't they?
South Africa have worked hard to get themselves back into the game. Tried to keep hold of the ball and apply territorial pressure to the Irish as well. It's paid off.
Well, the pause we're having here is just for another bit of patching up. It has been a brutal game in that regard. Not only an injury to Damien Willemse, which could well have happened to anyone on any pitch in rugby. It's the way the game can go, but there's been a couple of players bleeding for the cause as well.
Here's your mark, boys. Time on.
He's got his own tape budget, I think. He's got a huge amount of tape on him.
Ruan Norkier wearing 24. Now wearing a lot more strapping around his head too.
Crouch! Bind! Set!
It's been an interesting battle at scrum time though. Both sides struggling to get the ascendancy. They've almost just cancelled each other out. This almost the first time South Africa have got a good nudge on. And Zach Berger is cheering his forwards on, asking for more and getting it. The penalty comes. Damon Murphy's arm is in the air.
Great scrum from South Africa. We haven't really seen that since very early on in that first half. Physically dominating the Irish there in that scrum. Good control at the back from Muller Ace. Really good footballing skills.
Yeah, for a huge man, that is not an easy skill to do. So South Africa go into Ireland's half. Muller Ace, 2 tries. He scored against Georgia. Also scored one against Wales on the pre-competition tour. When he gets close to the line, he does often sniff out the whitewash. Here comes Erasmus, getting a ride at the back of this maul from South Africa. Ruan Norkir, the man with the bandage round his head, leading the way forward. Here is Berger going for a high box kick right on the head of Stewart here. Has he got it? It's Similani who's taken it out of the air. And Similani has his second try in exactly the same place in a totally different style.
Just about to say, play the advantage, shot to nothing. Zach Berger, is there anything else you wouldn't want as a fullback than trying to catch a ball that is a free play on your own try line? Similani, fantastic take. And South Africa coming up with a great score. Penalty advantage. Jonathan Stewart just almost static. There's nothing worse than feeling like you can only do a standing jump, knowing full well that the on-rushing player can use his momentum to get himself up in the air. Similani climbing high in the air to claim the ball.
Lombard from the same position, almost. Can he fare better this time? And it just glances the right-hand post. Well, he pulled it to the left for his first attempt and now too far to the right. But for South Africa, they will be looking at that 5-pointer as their cause for real joy. And Similani does rack up the tries when he plays for the Junior Springboks. 2 now. Scored 2 in the 2017 championships out in Georgia. And amongst everything, with that try, it does bring up the bonus point for South Africa as well. So if they end up on the right side of this result, they will be able to go top of their group with, they'll be above France in that regard, setting up an interesting third pool clash in 4 days' time between those two. They've got to get through this one first, of course, and everyone in playing for Ireland will be hopeful that they can come out through and take the win themselves. Number 20 for Ireland, Aaron Hall. Now this is O'Brien. Sean O'Brien on the left wing for Ireland. Hugh O'Sullivan is on at half-back. Joe Byrne is on in the front row too. Doris is still on the pitch, their standout player for Ireland. So too Tommy O'Brien in the backs. This is Dean. Puts his head down and drives hard the fly half. O'Sullivan to Dunn. And here is the new man, Byrne.
Leave it now. Missed.
Dean to maybe have drifted forward. Agnew took it right on the line. Referee Murphy waves play on. Dean stabs one through. This is for Lombard. It's bouncing, and Lombard has kept the ball in here, and Ireland will have plenty of green space to run into on the counter-attack. Sylvester goes to his right winger, Tom Roach. Roach, who failed to score a try when he was over the line in the first half. O'Sullivan and Dean and Ireland looking like the senior side, going through so many phases, looking for weak spots, and O'Brien hasn't found any there. He has been shunted backwards.
What a tackle that
defense.
was. Absolutely brilliant, textbook tackle.
Barron's pass to O'Brien goes to the floor, and O'Brien has to walk through green and yellow walls once more. And knocking on in the end. Well, in the end, South Africa can pat themselves on the back for that one, Tom.
A huge amount of work that Ireland have gone through as we see a replay of that tackle. Tyrone Green, nice and low, driving through the tackle, pumping his legs. That's how you make a dominant hit.
Time. 1 and 3
Tom, how
green.
nice is it for someone who's played on the wing yourself many times
1, 3 green sub.
to be
1,
able
3
to
green.
get one over on the man who's standing opposite you like that, driving him back so many yards.
When you get an opportunity, you try and take it. And certainly, Tyrone Green, he took that with both hands. And we just saw a flash there of the stat. Some handling errors creeping up for Ireland. 12 of them now.
So front row change for South Africa. Interesting one, having seen South Africa's scrum just push Ireland back so far.
Back on.
The two props are being changed, and Sazi Sandy and
Time off hand.
Alalutho Chakveni is on.
It's all about keeping the dominance, though, at this time of the game, isn't it? Final 20 minutes, if you can keep applying the same pressure that you've been giving the Irish, it should pay off.
Yep, sorry. Yeah.
Let me see some more of those stats. Huge number of carries from Ireland, 115. Compare that to 45 for South Africa. Just the amount of times that they're getting over the gain line. Keep harping back to it. But it's the two errors early on that's cost Ireland still.
PJ Steenkamp on for Ben Jason Dixon. You saw briefly in one of our shots there the Irish hooker receiving a bit of treatment on his thumb. Diarmaid Barron certainly been a troublesome part of his body for him. It fractured it this time last year out in Georgia in the first game, 20 minutes into that one versus Italy, and it was the end of his tournament. So he's back up and ready for this scrum, is Ireland's hooker.
Finally. Here's your mark.
Both coaches making their changes for this last quarter of the game. It's all to play for. Ireland trailing South Africa by 5. South Africa with the bonus point for tries.
Just looking at the setup here for South Africa. 4 players down this near side, one in the boot right behind the scrum. And if you can win a penalty through the scrum like that, why take the ball out?
Well, all the outside backs, except for Wandiseli Similani, who's probably earned a bit of a rest on this left wing, coming in to congratulate the forwards for that one. And now we see exactly why they were happy to make those changes up front. Despite the dominance at the scrum time before, it has continued, even with the new men on. And this, the upshot, a shot at goal from about 45 metres or so by Gianni Lombard.
The wing seems to have changed direction somewhat since that first half. May even have a slight tailwind here, Lombard.
And Lombard just hooks it, sliding it to the left-hand side of the post. It looked straight and true for the most part, but at the end it just came across. And Lombard not having his kicking boots with him. Damien Willems' injury meant that the tee was handed to Lombard. And since then, Lombard hasn't kicked his goals. It's keeping Ireland in it. And here is Ireland's new man, Dan Sheehan, on for Dearman Barron. And Conor Dean will get Ireland back underway, and they are still in this one, 5 points down. Similani, flash of those feet, and he's through the first line. Here's Muller-Ace. Now Lombard, popping up in that playmaker position, and he can be so dangerous from there. Berger. Lombard actually playing at 10 now as he finds Dobella. Muller-Ace also vying him for playing at 10, the number 8, popping up and keeping the play going, finding players outside him. This is Chakveni. Lombard once more. Skoonies. Similani hacking this one forward. Skoonies is after this, and so too is Similani. Similani's on a hat-trick. Ireland have to look lively. And it looked like Ireland had got there.
Tough to call this. Great bravery from Michael Sylvester. Exactly what you want.
Yeah, please, mate.
Yeah, Damo, go ahead.
Try yes or no, please.
Try yes or no.
Yeah.
So we've heard what the referee is asking for, and that's what you want to see from your fullback. Complete disregard for his body. Getting clattered by Skoonies.
Yeah, the MF.
Yeah, 22.
Yeah, 22.
Doing brilliantly, but he's saved his team there.
Time, can't take it quick. I've checked.
Well, amongst other points in that, Tom, how about the
Time
pace
back
of
on.
Dean Skoonies? The open side for South Africa,
Yeah,
wearing
yeah.
6, of course.
Well, I bet Ndisele Similani was hoping that ball bounced slightly left for his hat-trick.
James Hume doing excellent work to pluck that one. Winning it back, Ireland, and Duggan. Michael Sylvester, it looks like, has injured himself in the process, and James McCarthy on for him. Welsh-born James McCarthy, but with an Irish father and in the under-20 side out here in the south of France. Hugh O'Sullivan. The starting 9 against France. So to make way for Johnny Stewart in this one, but now got the reins for the final 15 minutes here. And it is set to be a thrilling finish here. South Africa looking to put it to bed, and try as they might, they've just not been quite able to do that.
Ireland just need to be careful here. They haven't conceded as many penalties as South Africa, but if they could start to concede them now at this crucial point in the game, then ultimately it's going to cost them this result. Big hit. Massive hit there from Steenkamp.
Cross, please. Thank you.
Great feet.
Murat it is who wins the ball for South Africa. Nortje leading this maul again, the man
That's one.
who's wearing the white headband and the number 24 shirt for South Africa. It's coming round for Berger. And South Africa here, a little bit of space to work in. Murat back inside. Steenkamp helps, drives things forward. This is Manny Ras. Norkia is in there again,
Advantage 10, black offside.
helping Erasmus. Murat driving his prop forward. South Africa edging so close to Ireland's line here, looking for their 5th try. Tyrone Green has gone through, it hasn't managed to gather the ball though, and South Africa though have the penalty coming. Well, their forward play just going round the corner,
Black
Tom.
10 offside. Black
Really
10
threatening.
offside.
It was almost going back to type, wasn't it? Exactly what we might expect from a South African team. Really physical, very direct,
Points.
very simple in the way they were looking to try and play the game.
Skulk Erasmus. Just taking his time, the substitute hooker as you see the penalties there for Ireland. Racking up, and the opportunity here for Gianni Lombard. He takes no time at all to size it up, and he has his first kick. First kick from 4 attempts, and those first 3 were much more difficult. This time, Lombard makes no mistake, and he takes South Africa to beyond a converted try in front of Ireland. And in the last 12 minutes that we have here in Narbonne, that could well be a match-winning lead. Ireland ringing the changes, trying to claw this one back, because Conor Dean has come off, as we see Erasmus looking like his afternoon is done. A new number 10 for Ireland, Harry Byrne. It's come on for Conor Green.
Time on.
Or even Conor Dean, I mean. Schoonies it was who didn't manage to pull it in, but South Africa have come away with it in the shape of Jack Venny. Norkia sealing that one off once more. He hasn't shirked the work, despite the knocks he's taken to his head and bleeding for the cause. Taken out of the skies really well by James McCarthy. O'Brien plays scrum half, and now Byrne to Doris, who didn't know too much about it, but the ball is kept alive. Sean O'Brien having to take on Tyrone Green, and Green once more showing how good he is in defence and disrupting it. But he will be called back for knocking on in that. Well, Ireland have the scrum on the far left-hand side of the pitch.
Ireland need to get a good scrum here. They struggled in that area during their second half. They need to get a good set piece in play. Pull out one of those backs moves that they would have practiced hard on in the build-up to this competition, to this tournament.
Plenty of changes across both packs. We'll have to see who has the ascendancy now. O'Sullivan feeds for Ireland. And Doris has it as his feet now. Byrne, James Hume. Stepping out of that tackle was McCarthy, and now O'Brien. Ireland's captain in the Six Nations, Tommy O'Brien, their number 13 today. O'Sullivan, Agnew and Tom Roach. Similani it was for South Africa who brought him to the floor. The tackle by Muller Ace is missed, and Ireland plough forward. Aaron Hall it was, with a bit of footwork on South Africa's number 8, and boot to ball, territory being looked for by Ireland. Gianni Lombard doesn't find touch. McCarthy held up though by South Africa. Have they managed to steal it as well? Indeed they have.
Disappointing from an Irish perspective. Real opportunity to get a good counter-attack in play there. Some very, very tired South African forwards on his open side. McCarthy, he only had one thing on his mind, and that was to run himself. Should have shifted that ball to the other side of the field, and quickly. There was space to exploit.
Well, the turnover stats for South Africa really have kept them in this game when Ireland threatened. And now they have the 8-point lead. It's been good work from those forwards, and whether they force the knock-on or turn the ball over in the ruck, it has kept them in it, that side of the game. Our camera's trained there on Manny Ras. Ras, who was the man who replaced Damien Willemse, South Africa's number 10, who had a really bad injury. 10-minute delay during this fixture for that, and Willemse, he looked to be alert and upright when he went off. But potentially a very serious injury for Damien Willemse. South Africa have rode that well, though, as a team. They've kicked on, 2 tries from Vandaseli Similani. They've really made the difference. And a penalty as well by Gianni Lombard. And once more we see the warrior, Ruan Nortje, who may finally now be told that his day is done.
Yeah, bring him on. It's all good.
He was off for blood, got bandaged up. The bandage came loose, and there was more time to tie that one up. But finally, he has been called off.
Time on.
And Ruan Vermaak will take his place for the final 8 minutes or so. A shot there you just saw of Sean Root, South Africa's head coach. He may not have many fingernails left after this one. Ireland's still pressing, still searching for a try to bring them back in it.
We've been good so far. Let's keep that gap clear. Both teams, keep that gap. Close it on set.
Had to work really hard for this South Africa. And to keep Ireland out. They've put together a number of phases back to back, tested that South African defence.
So Joe Byrne in the Irish camp, being asked to reset things, and both sides will pack down for another. Zach Berger, who got South Africa's first try within a minute from his own charge down. The South African number 9 has plenty of options outside him, just outside of our camera shot here. South Africa lining up attackingly. But it's the forwards who tie it up and do the damage, working the penalty. A potentially huge moment as South Africa look to tie this match up. Ireland unable to get their hands on the ball. A real testament to Sean Root's whole squad, all the changes they've made, and still that scrum tying things up. And the upshot, a line out deep into Ireland's 22. Dan Uesta, it was meant for Schoonies, but it's stolen by O'Sullivan. O'Brien puts it to the floor, but it's gone backwards, so O'Brien hacks forward. Lombard, no pressure on him. But what options does he have here, South Africa's fullback? Finds a very decent touch indeed. Had perhaps the temptation with the speed he has to run it out of defence. It wasn't the most organised Irish line in front of him, but went for the sensible option. Cormac Daly winning the line out. Doris it was who regathered the ball well, taking Ireland over halfway. They need more than a converted try to get in front against South Africa, and losing the ball won't help. Knock-on spotted. Well, they scored a late try in Perpignan against the French to make it a 2-point game. Harry Byrne that time going from making a late run and dotting over the whitewash. How they could do with another one of those and make it a 1-point game here. Time, of course, very much on South Africa's side. And if they are to see this one out, they will top the group this evening. They have the bonus point in the bag, backing up their bonus point victory against Georgia 4 days ago.
Both teams up. Both teams up. Both teams up, yep. Here's your mark.
Instructions clear from referee Damon Murphy from Australia. Muller Ace with the ball almost at his feet, South Africa's number 8, and he finds Berger really well. Racing up on his left-hand side is Wandiseli Simelane. He was going to finish with a hat-trick. Super play, Muller Ace to his scrum half, and Simelane in at the corner, the same spot he scored all 3 of his tries. What a way to take up the 30-point mark for South Africa. And what a way to put a gloss on this one for the junior Springboks. He came late, and already from all that distance out, he knew he was in. Set play, and Simelane, how much did he enjoy that try? The junior Springboks now can relax. There is Damien Willemse with the heavily strapped left knee, but fantastic to see him still at the stadium, despite having gone off on a stretcher. And Gianni Lombard once more. This is his 4th kick from a very difficult position. He has slotted one from right in front of the sticks. But he won't have that one, and he won't much like looking at his personal kicking statistics from the tee after this one, but he has played a superb part, Gianni Lombard, in a difficult game which South Africa have come through, losing Damien Willemse. Lombard handed the tee. And he did score that crucial penalty, which gave them the 8-point gap, and now they have a comfortable 13-point buffer. 2 minutes left here in Narbonne. Ireland's resurgence in this tournament has been met head-on by South Africa. And they have once again, there's Tyrone Green winning back a great ball. Here's Caelan Doris, who's been fantastic for Ireland. Here is Dean Schoonies, who's also been equally so for South Africa. Roach, though, brings it away. Kicking for himself, it goes straight out into touch. 1 minute left here in Narbonne, and it will be South Africa then who top the group this evening. Damien Willemse, just a spectator in this second half, but he showed what a talented player he is in the first half. And Some great moments from him. It's been a wonderful season for him personally, but a terrible end to it with that injury. Of course, it is yet to be seen how serious it is, but
Crouch! Bring it up. My fault. I've called crouch early. My fault. I apologise. No, it's my fault. It's my fault. Oh, sorry. Sorry, boys.
well, Damon Murphy hardly put a foot wrong in this one. But apologising for that.
Crouch!
Hugh O'Sullivan, Ireland's replacement scrum half, perhaps with the opportunity to launch one last attack for the Irish. Hume. And Sean O'Brien, who takes it forward. He's worked hard as the left winger. Here comes Hume once more, looking for the offload. It's knocked on. Tyrone Green, well, he'll want to keep playing. But it has been a brutal game for South Africa, and Zach Berger, who started it all with a fantastic charge down try for the junior Springboks, finishes things off by banging it into the stands. South Africa, they did the business in the end. Ireland pushing them hard for most of the match, just at the 60-point mark. South Africa pulling away, and they will top the group this evening. South Africa 30, Ireland 17. So for South Africa, their 30-point victory, the men who did the damage, Zach Berger, Muller du Plessis, and then a hat-trick from Wanda Saili Similani, a marvellous second-half hat-trick, all scored in the far left-hand corner. And it has given the junior Springboks the victory they wanted here, the victory which will allow them to top the group. Ireland, for their part, go 2 losses from their 2 games, and they will have Georgia in their final match. The junior Springboks will be facing France in what will be a group decider. Salman Murat, the junior Springboks captain, is down with Tom.
Salman, a tough game, a brutal game, but a fantastic win for the Springboks. What pleased you most about that performance?
Yeah, I think, we came out to this game expecting nothing less from the Irish. All credit to them. They came out guns blazing, and I'm just really grateful for the win, and happy that the guys pulled it through.
Not quite everything went to plan, did it, for the junior Springboks? What areas do you think you need to improve before the next game?
Yeah, it's early in the campaign. Obviously, we have a lot of things to work on. We'll review this game, and then just prepare for the French, and try and rectify those mistakes.
And how excited are you about having to play against the hosts next, France? That should be a fantastic encounter.
Yeah, as you all know, the French is a quality side. They're at home. They'll be favourites coming into that game. That's why we're here to play the best, and hopefully we can do well in that game.
All the best for the rest of the tournament. Thank you very much.
Salman Murat. They had to go through the ringer a little bit, South Africa, but they got there in the end. Ireland and Caelan Doris is down with Tom.
Caelan, really disappointing to fall short against the Springboks, but a fantastic performance at times during that game for the Irish.
Yeah, definitely. Similar to the France game, a lot of positives. Unfortunately, in the last 20, their power shone through, and got a few scores off the scrum and things like that, but yeah, very disappointing.
Do you think maybe it was the couple of errors early on in the game that you didn't quite recover from?
Possibly, yeah. I mean, we gifted them that first score going into the game, gave them the head start, and we came back in the second 20 of the first half, and felt we were in a good place going into the second half, but unfortunately they came back and got another purple patch.
Looking forward to the next game in the competition. Georgia, it's going to be a tough ask. They did well against the Springboks last time out. How are you looking to approach them?
Definitely, similar to France and South Africa, another really physical challenge. Big pack of forwards, skillful backs. So I suppose the focus turns to recovery, getting our bodies in the best possible place and hoping to finish the tournament or the group stages on a high.
Recover well and best of luck for the rest of the tournament.
Thank you. Cheers.
So let's have a look then at how things stand in Pool C after the conclusion of this one. South Africa topping it, having scored 2 bonus points, one against Georgia and one here against Ireland. France 1 point behind, but everything will come down to the outcome of that encounter in 4 days' time. What a match that is set to be. But from here in Narbonne, it's goodbye and thank you very much for joining us. The final score, it has finished South Africa 30, Ireland 17.
Two more rounds! 2 more rounds!